This is a simulation of an air disaster, where the altitude, wind speed, and parameters are identical to those on the day of the accident. The experimental results prove that the plane had enough time to return to the airport without the need for an emergency landing on the river.
Multiple airports, runways, 2 successful landings. We are simply mimicking what the computer already told us.
The simulation results are unfavorable for Sully because, according to the official investigation committee's findings, Sully would not only end his career, but also lose his pension, making him unable to pay his mortgage and ending up homeless. The story begins a few days earlier. Sully, a captain with 42 years of flying experience, was piloting Flight 1549 as usual. Initially, the flight was smooth, but soon after takeoff, the plane encountered a flock of birds. Both engines on the left and right sides of the plane instantly emitted flames, and a violent jolt startled everyone. The flight attendants stood up to reassure the passengers, while Sully immediately attempted to restart the engines. Unfortunately, the engines had lost power, and the cabin's electrical systems were completely shut down. Seeing the dire situation, Sully quickly activated the auxiliary power system to restore electricity and instructed the co-pilot to consult the quick reference handbook for solutions. He then contacted the control tower to explain the situation and request permission to return. The control tower responded promptly, clearing nearby runways to ensure a safe landing for Sully's plane. However, based on his extensive experience, Sully judged that they could not return and decided to make an emergency landing on the Hudson River. It is worth noting that no pilot had ever successfully landed a plane on the river before. Sully's decision was a gamble with the lives of everyone on board. The control tower found a closer airport and instructed Sully to land there, but the plane disappeared from the radar. Everyone could only pray for the safety of those on board. With no power, the plane's altitude continued to drop. Sully picked up the phone to instruct the passengers to prepare for an emergency crash position.
Heads down, stay down! Brace! Heads down, stay down!
The plane swiftly passed over buildings, leaving office workers in awe. Inside the cabin, some passengers sent farewell messages to their families, others held children, and some expressed their love to their loved ones. Sully calmly pulled the control stick and smoothly landed the plane on the river surface. He succeeded. However, before anyone could catch their breath, water began pouring into the cabin. Sully opened the doors to evacuate the passengers, instructing them to put on life jackets and wait for rescue. Due to the cold weather, the temperature on the river surface had dropped to below zero, meaning the passengers had only a few minutes to survive before succumbing to hypothermia if rescue was delayed. Fortunately, nearby people quickly offered assistance. Helicopter rescuers, seeing people floating on the water, risked their lives to jump in. Soon, all passengers were rescued. Sully, still concerned, returned to the cabin to check every seat, ensuring no one was left behind before finally leaving. The passengers expressed their gratitude, but Sully did not feel happy. He needed to ensure every passenger was safe. After disembarking from the rescue boat, Sully found a police officer, hoping he could help count the passengers. The officer agreed, and the police chief personally approached him. Upon hearing the number, Sully's calm demeanor finally showed emotion. He had successfully saved all passengers.
155. 155. It's official. 155. 155.
Including the crew. Sully became a hero in the eyes of the public, and the media widely praised his actions. However, the review committee believed that given the plane's condition at the time, even with the engines lost, it still had the capability to land at a nearby airport. Therefore, Sully's emergency landing was not only unreasonable, but also caused significant financial losses for the airline. They arrogantly questioned Sully about whether he had been sleep deprived before takeoff, if he had any medical history, if he had consumed alcohol, or if he had used drugs. Clearly, they suspected that the accident was due to Sully's misjudgment. For the aviation and insurance companies, if they could not prove the accident was human-caused, it meant they would have to pay a large sum in compensation, which was not what they wanted. Sully realized that if the truth was not clarified, he would not be a hero, but a fraud. The more people praised him now, the more they would despise him in the future. Sully was was under immense pressure. Soon, a second investigation came, and the results were even more unfavorable for Sully. According to the flight data recorder, the left engine did not fail, and computer simulations showed that the plane still had enough altitude and speed to return safely after the bird strike. Sully did not believe the results and demanded to inspect the left engine himself, only to be told that the left engine was missing. Sully insisted that both engines had failed and that the real situation could not be simulated by a computer. He requested a simulation test with a real pilot. The review committee agreed to his request. In the following days, while waiting for the test results, Sully constantly recalled the scenes of the emergency landing. He began to doubt whether he had made the right decision. Soon, the hearing arrived, and the results of the real pilot's simulation test were the same as the computer simulation. Successful landing. The investigator triumphantly announced the results, but Sully remained calm because the results were not realistic. In real flight, if the plane's engines suddenly fail, the pilot needs time to inspect before deciding to change course, meaning the pilot needs reaction time. Neither the computer simulation nor the real pilot simulation considered the pilot's reaction time.
Ask how many practice runs they had.
Okay.
17.
Upon hearing this, the investigator was speechless. Sully then asked a more pointed question. How many times did they conduct the experiments? As soon as the words fell, the room erupted in uproar. The investigator was embarrassed and did not know what to say. They had taken 17 attempts to land the plane safely, while the captain had only one chance. Clearly, their plan to shift the blame to Sully had failed. To save face, the review committee agreed to add 35 seconds of response time to the simulation test.
Birds.
Cactus 1549, if we can get it for you, do you want to try to land on runway 13?
We are unable. We may end up in the Hudson. This is the captain. Brace for impact.
After adjusting the time, both simulation tests resulted in a crash. The review committee's faces were grim. They then played a recording, asking everyone to put on headphones and relive the day of the emergency landing to hear what really happened. This is the captain. Brace for impact. With insufficient altitude and speed, landing on the water was the best option. Sully's experience and calmness saved everyone on board.
It's extraordinary. That was no simulation. No, it wasn't.
After listening to the recording, everyone fell silent. Sully's emotions were immersed in the scenes of that day, and he knew that if time could be reversed, he would still make the same choice. After some discussion, the hearing resumed, and the investigator's attitude changed. Everything was turning for the better. The missing left engine had been found, and a detailed investigation report showed severe damage to the engine. The flight data recorder's data was incorrect. The review committee stated that after simulating all scenarios and interviewing all relevant personnel, the successful emergency landing had another crucial factor: Captain Sully. Without his extensive flying experience, the outcome would not have been so favorable. However, Sully did not agree with this statement. He believed the credit was not his alone, but everyone's. Without the co-pilots, the flight attendants, and the timely, they would not have survived.